Now, from the station on your side, this is Wavy News 10.
This is a very, very serious and deadly storm.
Tonight at 11, flash flood emergency. At least 3 dead in North Carolina, several missing. And in both North Carolina and Virginia, flash floods, curfews, and states of emergency. This storm, it is a massive one.
We have live team coverage from all of the hardest hit areas in Virginia and North Carolina. We kick off our team coverage tonight with our team of meteorologists. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brandy Cummings.
And I'm Laura Queso. Chief Meteorologist Don Slater continues to watch this powerful storm. Don, how long will Matthew stick around?
I think it'll stick around for a few hours yet. In fact, we'll feel the effects into the day tomorrow. We've got the latest from the Hurricane Center on Matthew. It was supposed to move on through near Charleston and then head on out to sea about like that. Instead, it's significantly farther northward, made landfall and went over the Myrtle Beach area. Here's the latest on the storm. 75-mile-an-hour winds moving to the east-northeast now at about 14 miles an hour. It's getting caught up with some cooler air, so it'll likely start falling apart overnight. By 4 o'clock in the morning, it is due or just south-southeast of Cape Hatteras. And by then, I expect conditions will really start to improve. Once a storm moves to the south of your area, we start to see more of a northwesterly wind, and things start improving a bit in terms of rainfall. By Sunday morning, it's an extratropical storm, 75-mile-an-hour winds. That doesn't make much of a difference that it is extratropical. It's just the structure of the storm. There's where it is coming up by tomorrow night, 65-mile-an-hour winds. And our conditions should really have improved by that point coming up tomorrow night. And there's where it finally is by Monday morning. And then Monday night, again, way on out to sea, 40-mile-an-hour winds. It's hardly doing a thing. Again, we've got a lot of rainfall into the area. Here's where the center of the storm is located, right on into here. You can kind of see it reflected just in this, the northwestern edge of the eye. But you can see this band right through here. And it was spearing into a front that was right about into here. And that front produced very heavy rain for the Hampton Roads cities. And then that front, and then this spearing into it on down toward the Edenton area. Edenton, an hour and a half or so ago, got about 3.5 inches of rainfall through this area. So again, huge amounts of rainfall a little bit earlier on. Here's what's going on right now. Well, this is over the past 4 hours on up to the present time. And again, you can see this area spearing into where that front was over the Edenton area especially. That's where we really got some heavy rain, and over the south side of the Hampton Roads cities as well, and into Gates County. And the reason for it was we've got a front which is over the top of our area, and now it's started to shift a little bit. But you'll note there's a southerly wind here, but that front is now right on down into here. But it was right over the top of the Hampton Roads cities during the late afternoon and evening hours, and it provided wind from one direction, wind from the north, another direction, and it provided lift. So things really took off from there in terms of what was going on for some of this rainfall into the region. Now we take a look at the Hampton Roads area. Again, pockets here and there, moderately heavy rain, a little bit into Virginia Beach, but nothing as big as what we had earlier. There's where we are, Hertford, Edenton flooded. We got lots of flooding going on into the Hampton Roads area as well. South Mills getting pockets of heavy rain. Southern Virginia Beach. Farther north, we're looking fine. For the eastern shore, we're looking pretty good. But again, the biggest stuff right now is into eastern North Carolina. We haven't let up quite yet, but we will be eventually. And with more on what's going on with the rest of our forecast, here's Ashley Baylor.
All right, so let's take a look at the fact that we still have these flash flood warnings that are in effect. In fact, it's for all these areas shaded in this dark red color. And when a flash flood warning goes in effect, it means that flooding is happening right now. So if you live in an area where the water is starting to kind of breach where you live, you need to seek higher ground. And sometimes it means even go to the second level of your house because you don't really want to go out. You don't want to venture into this water because you could be swept away by the moving water. So you actually need to go up. And those flash flood warnings set to remain in effect through the overnight hours. One other thing we have to talk about is the wind. Right now, we're starting to really see those winds pick up. Right now, sustained wind speeds ranging anywhere from 20 miles per hour towards Saluda to 36 miles per hour down towards Currituck. And the wind gusts are even higher than that. Right now, we're seeing 45 mile per hour wind gusts in Currituck, 44 in Virginia Beach. And again, these numbers will continue to go up overnight and into tomorrow. Expect wind gusts right around 50 miles per hour, potentially upwards of 60 in a few places closer to the coastline and down along the Outer Banks. So we have a lot to talk about in our full forecast, which will be coming up in just a few minutes. We'll give you a timeline on when this rain will finally taper off.
Ashley, thank you. Folks, we are continuing our team coverage tonight from Norfolk. The city has opened a shelter for residents to ride out the storm. It's at Norview High School on Chesapeake Boulevard. People asked to bring personal items, sleeping bags, blankets, and snacks. Pets are welcome. Lots of flooded areas across parts of the city, so bad, even more parking garages near ODU have been opened now to the public for free.
And several garages have been open for the public all weekend long, especially in Norfolk and also Portsmouth. 10 on your side's Liz Kilmer continues to track the rising water. She's live in one of Norfolk's hardest hit areas. Liz.
Yeah, guys, those strong wind gusts Ashley mentioned, we're really feeling those out here now. In fact, the rain is actually blowing sideways. It's just been dumping down nonstop for hours. We've been across Norfolk, downtown, over in Ghent, a lot of flooded roadways over on Granby and Ghent. We saw actually a tree collapsed on a car, but I think the worst of what we're seeing is here in the Neon District. I want you to take a look. This is Monticello Avenue near Wilson Avenue. You can see these two vehicles obviously stalled and submerged with water here. They've been out here for quite some time. We've just been watching that water rise up those vehicles. So hopefully a towing company will be out here soon to get those vehicles. We've been seeing a lot of towing companies, a lot of towing trucks rather, going by. We saw a cab actually just being towed a few minutes ago. So those crews are certainly busy, along with city crews. You can see there is a city truck blocking this roadway, blocking several roadways across the area that are shut down due to this flooding. Just you can see how deep the flood water is getting here, and it's only getting worse. So folks, please be safe and stay inside and do not drive through any roads like this. You certainly don't want your car to stall out like some of those that we've been seeing. We're going to continue to monitor the conditions overnight, bring you the latest on in the morning show. For now, I'm live in Norfolk. Liz Kilmer, 10 on your side.
All right, good advice from Liz Kilmer out there. Well, the widespread floods, they are all over Hampton Roads.
That includes Suffolk, where several inches of rain have already come down. We've just learned there have been several water rescues across the city there as the storm moved in. 10 on your side's Marielena Belores continues our team coverage right now. Lena?
Yeah, the water has just continued to rise out here really quickly, even in the last hour. It's now up to my knees. I'm standing on Main Street, and we are at the edge of the flooding. If you take a look down the street, you can see it is all blocked off. There is a ton of water out here, probably about hip deep at its deepest point out there. And there's this gas station right off the side of the road. We have seen debris coming from the gas station all night. Tires, trash cans, just being swept across the street into the water. There's actually a garbage bin from a nearby restaurant that got picked up and moved around a parking lot. So like Laura was saying, there have been a number of water rescues out here. There's significant winds coming in upwards of 25 miles per hour, gusting around 40 miles per hour, and you can really feel that. So it is not safe to be out on these roads. City officials are asking people to stay inside. We were driving a little bit ago, and there is a lot of debris on the side of the road, and so we are just advising people, if you don't need to be outside, don't come outside. It is not safe conditions. So like Liz was saying, we will be continuing to monitor these conditions. Reporting now live in Suffolk, I'm Marielena Belores, 10 on your side.
All right, Marielena, we hope that you get inside soon as well after that report. Well, Matthew, it has turned deadly in parts of North Carolina. 3 people are dead, at least 4 are missing right now. 2 passengers in this car died when they couldn't escape the rising waters in Clarkton, that's near Fayetteville. In Bertie County, a curfew went into effect at 9 o'clock tonight.
The heavy rains have forced a lot of folks indoors across northeast North Carolina.
10 on your side, Joe Fisher continues our team coverage tonight from Nags Head. Joe, I can hear the rain.
Well, Laura and Brandy, it's been windy here all day long, but we are really getting pounded right now. I can tell you that just within the past half hour, the winds have really picked up. It's that 1 foot in front of another just to stay still. In Dare County, there is a flash flood warning right now in effect until at least 12:30. We are worried about flooding. We're worried about that ocean overwash on NC 12, and we are worried about Hatteras Island. The National Weather Service talking about 4 feet of water overnight, with that rain expected to pick up into the overnight hours and mix with the tropical storm force winds that we're feeling. We do want to point out that further inland, there is a flash flood emergency for parts of northeastern North Carolina. That we're talking about Chowan County, Bertie County, Perquimans County. You guys, we're talking about flooding that could be potentially life-threatening. About 3 to 4 inches fell within an hour earlier there. Along the Outer Banks and along the coast, the conditions are far from pleasant. You can see we're almost blowing away here, but we're going to continue to watch it. You're being asked to move to higher ground and stay inside throughout the night. We're live in Nags Head. I'm Joe Fisher, 10 on your side.
Joe, do be careful out there, Laura, and I think it's worth mentioning here. A lot of folks probably wondering, we're telling people to stay inside, we're outside, but we want to give information so folks don't have to go out. We want to tell you what's going on. We want you to see it so you don't have to go out there. And our team will continue to follow Matthew's impact overnight across the area, both on air and online. Meteorologist Jeremy Wheeler and Deidre Tate will join Lex Gray and Stephanie Harris on Wavy News 10 today, starting at 6 a.m.
Step out just a little further.
The rain forcing road closures across Hampton roads. We will have a full list of places you need to avoid. That'll be on wavy.com. Our team coverage will continue after this. You're taking a live look right now outside of the Wavy studios. Our Kara Dixon on standby to give us a live report. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. You've probably heard the rain. You've definitely seen it. We've been telling you about it. But one of the biggest warnings we can give during storms like this is to do not drive through standing water. We want to show you this incredible video of a water rescue in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Dozens of rescues were recorded, including this one of a mother and her young child. Police found the woman standing on the side of her car with her child hidden from the rain in her coat. Officers lowered a metal ramp onto the hood of the car and walked out to grab the child. You can hear the baby screaming there. Walked out to grab the child and then her mother.
And in the same area, another dramatic flood rescue. After more than a foot of rain in Fayetteville, 2 men and a woman had to be rescued from the top of this SUV. The rescue, it was all caught on camera too. It was around 6:30 tonight. About an hour later, the 3 were eventually saved.
Power outages continue to climb as more rain is falling. According to Dominion Power, more than 100,000 people are out of power right now in southeast Virginia through northeast North Carolina. Now, in other parts of eastern North Carolina, nearly 150,000 people there in the dark. Don't forget, though, if you lose power, you can stay connected to us through our Wavy Weather app and the Wavy News app as well.
And Brady, I think it's important to understand and for everyone out there to know that we will be on throughout the night. We have a team here. They are covering every single aspect of this storm. If you don't have power, obviously you're not watching, but you can watch on our app on wavy.com. But for now, let's continue our coverage right now at 11 because parts of Portsmouth are flooded. That includes the normal problem spots, of course, in Old Town.
Yeah, 10 on your side's Kara Dixon live now in Portsmouth with those flooded areas and some information on places you need to avoid. Kara?
Brandy, Laura, since the start of the show, conditions have actually gotten worse out here, and the wind is picking up, and the rain is definitely still coming down hard. So if you are a resident of Portsmouth and your street is flooded, don't expect the flood waters to recede anytime soon because of these conditions. Now, the road outside of our station has also flooded. We have water coming up over the sidewalks. Now, this video was taken about 30 minutes ago, and that water has risen dramatically since then. A number of you have sent in video and photos of widespread flooding in the city. Parts of downtown Portsmouth also seeing flooding throughout the day. This video was taken earlier today on Washington Street. You can see vehicles driving through that water. This is what you do not want to do if you see the standing water. If you see that water, do not drive through it. It only takes about 1 foot of rushing water to carry away a small car. Now, if you need someplace to park to move your car away from these flooding areas, the city of Portsmouth has offered free parking in all the city-owned parking garages. Now, the Effingham westbound exit off of I-64 is also closed right now. We'll continue to update you guys on all these road closures and also with the flooding in the area. Reporting live in Portsmouth, Kara Dixon, 10 on your side.
Kara, thank you. Let's get to some dramatic video from south of Wilmington, North Carolina. The massive crashing waves caused the front part of the Oak Island Pier to collapse. This video just shows the strength of those waves as it moves into the part of the state.
And now talking weather, Don and Chief Meteorologist Don Slater is here, and Meteorologist Ashley Baylor. And earlier did a Facebook Live, and you were saying that we are not out of the woods yet. So there is still rain that we can expect tonight.
Yes, there's still rain, but more importantly, I think, is the tide now. The tide is holding steady right about at nuisance tidal flooding. But the thing about it is that we've also had a lot of rain. We've had 6 inches of rain across most of the south side right now and into eastern North Carolina. So the tide is going to remain up and get even higher. It'll get to moderate tidal flooding levels coming up in the next several hours. Here's what's going on with Matthew. We'll cover that first. This thing moved a little farther northward than was expected. And again, yeah, as of yesterday, it was expected to make it on up to about Charleston, between Charleston and about Myrtle Beach, and then head eastward from there on out to sea. Well, it's about 50 miles farther northward and moving east-northeastward at 14 miles an hour. 75-mile-an-hour winds out of this thing. And again, it's likely to continue by 4 o'clock to be due south of Cape Hatteras by 60, 70 miles. So again, it is indeed closer. Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, 75-mile-an-hour winds, but it's extra tropical. It gets caught up into some cooler air, and it loses its tropical characteristics. 8 o'clock in the evening, 65-mile-an-hour winds. There's where it is by Monday morning, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and then it just plain falls apart with 40-mile-an-hour winds by Monday evening. More importantly for right now, what's going on with this storm in terms of the rainfall. Center of the storm, you can see it right on into here. That's right about where it is, and that storm, again, is likely to continue toward the northeast or east-northeast and move on out to sea. It's moving east-northeastward at about 14 miles an hour. There are bands of rain. We're going to show you what's going on with those rains that have been moving on through the Hampton Roads area. And really the south side has gotten hit really, really hard with wave after wave after wave of rainfall moving on through, and then on down to Bertie County and Chowan County, seeing some very, very heavy rain. The rest of North Carolina, yeah, you've seen some rain, but it hasn't been as heavy. I want to show you what's going on in terms of this particular area. What we've got going on out of this is a front, which was basically stuck over the top of the Hampton Roads area during the evening hours, and then this area of rain right here, it's speared on into about the Edenton area, and with one air mass hitting another air mass, kaboom, that blossomed into a big area of rain, over 3 inches of rain in just about an hour's time, for example, in that particular case. So again, a lot of rain there. Also, some of these rain bands have moved on up into the Hampton Roads cities. And remember how I showed you where that front was? Well, that front acted as a focal point for a lot of rain. 40-mile-an-hour winds, gusting at times to around 50 into the Hampton Roads area, 32, 26 miles an hour here, 12 miles an hour in Kill Devil Hills. But we saw some heavier winds on down to where Joe Fisher was. But you know, there's a wind shift line right on into here, and that's that front. With that front, we got one kind of air hitting another kind of air, and it causes the air to rise, and we ended up with that focal point over the Hampton Roads area for much of the late afternoon and early evening hours. And now it's been shifting around with this area spearing on in. And again, we've seen some of that heavy rainfall continuing. Here's what's going on Hickory into the Chesapeake Municipal Center. Southern sections of Virginia Beach seeing some pockets of heavy rainfall. A little bit of a pocket here and there into Currituck County, farther westward into eastern Gates County. And again, earlier, very heavy rain once again into the Gates, into Chowan County. Here's what's going on in the bigger picture. Eastern Shore, not as much on up toward Williamsburg, and Richmond has had actually a little bit more rain than the Williamsburg area has. Williamsburg, you've had some rainfall. Here's the spin of this whole thing. And once again, the center of the storm is right about here, and it's moving east-northeastward. It's very, very loosely based. You can see it's moving in that direction, and we've got an inflow going on right on into here, all the way on up into our part of the world, with a front still across the top of our area. And again, that could still provide the impetus for a lot more rainfall moving on through. Now, with more on what we can expect in terms of tides, winds, everything else, we got it all for you. Here's my colleague, Ashley Baylor. Ashley?
Yeah, something I really want to mention here is I was actually just checking on the river levels, and one river that we really need to note right now is the Nansemond River in Suffolk. It's about to approach major flood stage there. Right now, it's at 7.95 feet. Major flood stage is at 8 feet, so it's right there. So if you happen to live near the Nansemond River, again, I would not try and go out in this situation. You have to go up. You almost have to do what we call a vertical evacuation. So if it starts to kind of breach your garage or the first level of your home, go up to the second floor. You can see those flash flood warnings in effect for all these areas shaded in this dark red color, and they're set to be in effect through the very early morning hours on Sunday. So let's go through a timeline here of exactly what you can expect from now until we get through Sunday. And you can see even at midnight, we are still going to be tracking some of these bands of moderate to heavy rainfall. But by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, that heavy rain is going to be out of here. We'll just be tracking light rain. And here we go towards noon. Just a few lingering showers in northeast North Carolina, but that storm is going to kick out of here. So by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, yes, it'll be brighter, but we'll still have the wind. Let's talk about the wind. And right now we're seeing sustained wind speeds between 15 all the way up to 36 miles per hour. Wind gusts are even higher than that. Right now we have wind gusts right around 46 miles per hour at Virginia Beach, 45 in Currituck, and those numbers will continue to go up. So as we go through the overnight hours, expect sustained wind speeds between 25 to 35, gusting to 50, maybe even 60 at times. And of course, yes, we have to talk about tidal flooding here. You can see the water's already out there. We're expecting moderate tidal flooding as the tide comes up at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then once again, we'll be dealing with moderate tidal flooding around 3:45 tomorrow afternoon. Stay safe.
All right, as the storm moves through, we will be cutting in overnight, and we will have complete team coverage tomorrow morning on Wavy News 10 at 6. But before we leave you, we do want to get a last check of the forecast.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Super Duper 10 Live. The storm is going to kick out to sea eventually here. We've still got heavy rain and huge amounts of wind. And remember, the tide is going to get even higher during the overnight hours, so do watch out for that. There's our 7-day forecast. We will be along through the nighttime hours.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Stay safe, stay dry, and remember, you can always check us out at wavy.com.